Hi, gang. Hi. Welcome to Make 'em Laugh, a young people's comedy concert. Now, thanks to all of you, we have the young people, and thanks to this marvelous old theater, we have the concert. Now, that leaves us with the word comedy. Now, in its simplest form, comedy is anything that makes you laugh. Now, before we get started, let me hear you laugh. Yeah, that's fair. But you're not really laughing because there's nothing to laugh at yet. Hopefully, we're going to change all that as you meet some wonderfully funny performers who will illustrate just what makes people laugh. Now, today they're called performers, but they've been called jokers, harlequins, farceurs, comics, simpletons, clowns, and originally they were called, quite simply, fools. Now, there's an old saying, anyone can be a fool, but only the wise fool is funny. Now, there are a lot of things that help make us laugh. Facial expressions, props, physical movement, reactions, takes, timing.
Oh my God, I know.
Hello.
Hey, I got a taste.
And interruptions.
Us? Me? We?
Boy, boy.
You know, exits can also be funny, but we'll get to that later. But as funny as it is, comedy is really a serious business. Sure, they're clowns and comics wearing baggy pants, but that's all surface. And beneath that surface, you'll find some serious people doing some serious things. So with your kind permission, I'd like to spend a little time with you and discuss comedy. Now, comedy can be approached from any angle, but you must do it carefully. Comedy is so fragile that too much inspection can cause a bit or a spot to just crumble away. So remember, while we look, let's be cautious. Perhaps it would be useful to talk about some of the subjects used in comedy. Now, comedy can be about anything. It can be about love, hate, trees, buildings, dogs, cats, lovers, soldiers, songs. Now, I'm sure that if you think, you could probably come up with some subjects of your own. Now, that brings us to the psychology of comedy. Now, why do we laugh, huh? What mechanism in our minds triggers our reflexes to make us laugh? Now, that puzzles me. Does it puzzle you, or do you just laugh and forget why, huh? Now, what you've been watching is pantomime, and pantomime is being funny without saying a word. How many of you have seen the pantomime team of Shields and Yarnell, huh? Well, boys and girls, at the end of these arms, the comedy genius of Robert Shields. You know, as far as we know, the very first professional comedian, a man who made his living by being funny, was a court jester. Now, he made his first appearance in England in 1064.
That's 1065.
In the court of William the Conqueror.
It was Whipple the Squeezer.
And his name was Cedric.
Cedric.
Now, how would you know? Were you there?
Was I there? Is Lauren Green? Is Helen ready? Does Bob Hope?
This is impossible. I mean, if you're Cedric...
It's Cedric.
Oh. Well, then you must be at least 914 years old.
Well, it's my diet.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you're in great condition.
Thank you. Most people think I don't look a day over 700.
Well, you see, we're presenting a show here about comedy.
You could have fooled me.
Well, since you're here, why don't you tell us what it was like in the year 1065?
Oh, I see. Yeah. Excuse me.
Sure.
Well, what do you want? Oh, you're the host. Where was I? I was over here. Well, you see, every morning I'd wake up and my wife would make my breakfast while I put on my cap and my bells and my hose and my doublet and my slippers with the pointy ends. See?
And then you'd kiss your wife goodbye and go off to work, right?
Well, after she'd stop laughing her fool head off.
You know, that outfit is pretty hilarious.
It kept me out of the Crusades.
Tell me, what did the king think was funny? Please.
That was my biggie.
Yeah, don't shake that thing in my face.
Thing? It is not a thing. It is called, excuse me.
That's all right.
A fool's bauble. Why, no court jester worth his weight in salt would perform without one.
Really?
Yes.
To me, it just looks like a dumb stick with a silly doodad at the end of it.
You know, you're right. No wonder the king didn't laugh.
Yeah.
Say goodbye, Tom. Okay.
Now, you've obviously performed before a lot of royalty, huh?
Oh, no.
What was your toughest audience?
Well, I guess Henry VIII.
Hmm?
Well, yeah, no, by chance you insulted the king. You were tortured and beaten and thrown in a dungeon.
Well, if it was that tough, why didn't you run away?
And quit show business?
So I guess in all your 900 years, you've seen it all, huh?
Oh, I did miss the most hilarious act of all time.
What was that?
That was Columbus discovering America. Now, that was funny, see? See, he sailed right off the edge of the world. You know, right there.
You mean to say you haven't heard?
What?
World is round.
It is?
Right.
Well, I better call my wife. Our trip to Australia's on.
It looks like a lot of fun being a comedian, doesn't it? Well, it is. But I should warn you that sometimes a comic needs help. Now, right now, there's someone who is in that predicament. From the wonderful Muppets, give a warm welcome to Fozzie Bear and his helper, Kermit the Frog.
Okay, time once again for that furry, fuzzy, funny man, fabulous, freewheeling, fast and frantic Fozzie Bear!
Hey. Oh, wait. Not so fast. Tonight, I am going to use your assistance.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, sir. You and I are going to tell the world's funniest joke.
Is that
This is
right?
all spontaneous, unrehearsed, right, Froggy?
It's unrehearsed, yes.
Okay. Now, Frog of my heart,
Yes.
you will just wait until I say the word here. When you hear me say the word here, you will rush up to me and say, "Good grief, the comedian's a bear."
Good grief, the comedian's a bear!
Check.
When you say the word here.
Right.
Gotcha.
Okay, here we go. Ready? Okay, here we go. Now then, hiya. You're a wonderful looking audience. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good grief, the comedian's a bear! You just said here.
That was the wrong here.
Which is the right here?
The other here. Right, go. Okay. Hey, folks. This is a story you're gonna love to hear.
Good grief, the comedian's a bear! But you said here!
Not that here.
Well, which here?
Another here.
How am I gonna know?
You know what you hear.
Good grief, the comedian's a bear!
All right. Listen,
Yes, what?
you will know when I point to you. All right, don't grumble. Say, a funny thing happened to me on the way to the theater. At the stage door, I passed a bunch of Muppet fans, and suddenly I hear...
Good grief, the comedian's a bear.
No, he's a nut. He's a wearing a necktie.
Now, years ago, before you were born, radio used to do comedy using sounds plus imagination to make people laugh. And it was wonderful. Well, you missed that. But don't worry, because today there are two marvelously gifted young men who do the same thing before your very eyes. And they do it without any sound effects equipment at all, just by using their own faces and their own mouths. Boys and girls, the imaginative comedy of Skiles and Henderson.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for that nice reception. This is Bill. He's a little bit different. But we went on a trip. Bill?
Huh? I'm sorry.
Just relax.
I'm sorry.
We went on a trip to Mexico last month.
Ah, Mexico.
Yes. But they have a very short runway in Guadalajara. When we came in, it sounded like this. That's a short runway.
Everybody goes. We got up.
The first thing we wanted to do was see the dog racing they have down there. So we... Have you ever seen a dog race? Anybody here?
One over there.
Have you been to the... Really, you've been to the dog races?
Sure.
That's terrific. Well, you can check us out on this.
It's fun.
The first thing you see, of course, is the electric rabbit. Little guy comes hopping down the bunny trail. It's very authentic.
Thank you.
Here come the dogs. You see how lifelike that is, right? Here they come again. Backwards. Sideways. Inside out.
Brack.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I hurt myself.
How about a goat race?
A what?
Goat race.
Sure.
Giraffes.
A cat race. Hey, baby.
Would you stop that?
Yeah, okay.
Stop it. Sports cars. Now, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sparky Plugs. I'm here trackside at the Riverside International Raceway for Sports Cars, Riverside, California. These cars are really coming by. We have cars from all over the country here, reaching incredible speeds of up to 200... Reaching in... These cars are... Would you cut that out?
I'm not gonna lose this race, baby.
Wait a minute. Just a second. There's a car spinning out towards the broadcast booth. Look out, he's headed this way. Boy, for a minute, I think... Boy. Now, would you stop that?
Give me a reason.
Well, because we're finished.
You're a super audience, and thank you very much, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Some of the funniest moments any of us have ever enjoyed have come from comedy teams. The Marx Brothers, Desi and Lucy, Abbott and Costello, Mork and Mindy. Well, with teams, timing is very important. You see, everything and everyone has to be in the right place at the right time.
Now, pardon me. Could we possibly get up in there? If
only...
you two would go together, then we two could sit down. Couldn't we?
Fellas.
Now, if you just move
Fellas. Hey, you two.
You who?
He didn't say you who. He said you too.
You and me?
Us.
Yeah, would you fellas come up here a minute, please, huh?
Well, sure.
Well, Hey! I'm sorry.
Would you mind telling me what is going on here?
Well, you see, we have tickets for those 2 seats down there, but those 2 children are sitting there. You see, we're late.
I set the alarm for 9. And there's only 2 of us, and we overslept.
Only 2 of us.
Look, we are trying to conduct a young people's comedy show here.
Ollie, maybe that's why there's so many children out there.
Oh! So many children. Excuse me.
Excuse us.
Don't you realize that Mr. Beardsley here...
No, that's Bosley.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Don't you understand that Mr. Bosley here is a very big man? He could do great things for us. Big things for us.
Could you get us some popcorn?
Get us some popcorn.
Listen, a host I am, a vendor I'm not. Now, I'm going to see if I can get you guys a couple of seats. Meantime, you behave yourselves, huh?
Thank you very much, Mr. Bosley. Oh! Well, now you've done it again.
Well, I didn't do anything.
What do you mean you didn't do anything? You miffed Mr. Bosley.
Well, I couldn't...
You embarrassed us in front of him.
Well, it wasn't my fault.
Do you remember I told you what I'd do the next time something like this happened?
What?
Give me your hat. You heard me. Give me your hat.
Spot. This. That's very good. What you gonna do?
Never you mind. Tie that one on. This is ridiculous.
Well, you're darn right it is.
Why, it certainly is.
I mean, tearing away like this.
Here we are acting just like children. Grown adults. Don't you know if we want to go anywhere in life, we must work together?
That's right.
Like clogs in a wheel? Remember, united we stand. Divided we fall. Excuse me. No!
Does everyone know who those two were? Who? That's right. Now let's meet our Laurel and Hardy, Chuck McCann and Jim MacGeorge, huh? You know, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. And in the case of these two men, it's the sincerest form of love. Thanks to them, the charm and magic of Laurel and Hardy will live forever.
Gee, thanks a lot.
Hey, that's my pop.
Well,
where are you going with that?
Now I'd like to ask you a question. How many of you kids know what you're going to be when you grow up, huh? Well, let's see. Looking at you boys and girls, I guess we have about 6 future doctors, maybe 5 lawyers, some athletes, and maybe, just maybe, one very special person who will spend his life making people laugh. Well, we have one of those very special people with us today, and he remembers exactly what it was like being you. Boys and girls, Mr. George Carlin.
Hello. How are you? You okay? Good. My job is making people laugh. Making people laugh has to be the best job in the world. Gotta be the best job in the world. Can you imagine a job like that? Well, how do you get a job like that? I started early. A lot of comedians start when they're just kids like you in school as class clowns. Do you know any class clowns? You know what I mean? Sure you do. Guys that are fooling around, distracting people, trying to get the attention of everyone in the room. Isn't that part of being a class clown? And you know another good thing about being a class clown? The other guy gets in trouble. Not you, the other guy, the guy who laughs. You could whip a funny face on Roger. Hey, Roger. Ah! And then you look back at the teacher as if you're really interested in the work. And suddenly Roger is leaving the room, accused of having no self-control. Class clown was great. You know how it usually happened? You'd be sitting in school and you'd be a little bit bored. Sometimes you get bored in school, you know? And you say to yourself, all right, as long as I'm not going to get an education, why shouldn't I prevent anyone else from getting an education? And you go into work. You start distracting the class by attracting attention to yourself. That was the fun. Any little way to attract attention and get them laughing. Now, I didn't start out with big, loud things. I didn't start out with fake heart attacks in the aisle. I did little things, like little noises like... In a quiet classroom, that sounds so great. I had one noise that was all my own. No one else could do this in my class. I was the only guy. Here's a nice one. Class clown usually saved his best stuff for lunchtime when you're drinking your milk. And he tries to get the milk to come out your nose. Now, you know one thing, the class clown, if he does anything normal, he's going to do it in a slightly different way. He doesn't do anything the usual way. When I was in school, if I had to raise my hand to ask a question, I wouldn't raise it the ordinary way. I would raise it like this. Well, you know, if somebody raises their hand like that, they just gotta cross their legs like this. Class clap.
You know, I was pretty funny in school myself. I remember one time I was sharpening a pencil, see, and the teacher, she
Excuse me.
What?
Excuse me, you have to step aside.
Well, what are you doing? We're doing a show here.
Now, look, Beasley.
No, that's Bosley. Tom Bosley.
I never heard him. You got to step aside now. We got some painting to do here.
What? But look, I was just about to...
Hey, if we don't do the painting, we're going to fall behind. We got to get ready for Robert Shields.
We've already done Robert Shields.
You see that? We're already falling behind. Come on, fellas, let's do it right.
Gee, kids, this is so embarrassing. But listen, don't worry. The director is a personal friend of mine, and I'm going to see to it that he edits this entire mess out of the
Listen, I
show.
don't want to appear rude, but you're going to have to step aside, Beasley.
Yeah, well, just a minute. Sid, hello? Sid, can you hear me? Sid, it's me, Tom Bosley.
Come on, let's go. Come on.
Well, we're going to have to get this cut out of the show. I can tell you right now, it's not going to stay in.
Don't worry about it. Let's get out of here.
This is a spotlight, and it's sort of shaped like a gun, and it's aimed like one. What it does is it throws a bright light, circle of light, onto the stage, like this. You see, with a flick of a switch, we create anticipation. The question is, who will step into that spotlight? The answer? Mr. Norm Crosby.
Hello, young people for whom this comedy concert is all about. I'd like to talk today about history, so let's get hysterical for just a moment. Now, I'm sure you all know that back in days of yore, and even before yore, hence was before yore. Did you have that in school yet? Back then, absolutely nothing was funny. You know why? Because there were no words. They couldn't commune. The discovery of language and all its inherent sibilants and the resounding consonants and the phonetical contuberances made the big difference. Soon there were enough words for the very first monologue. That monologue was performed at the mouth of the Euphrates River. And when it was all over, there was silence, followed quickly by the mouth of the Euphrates going. Now, it was only a matter of time before humor and words reached Egypt. King Tut told the first joke, and people went, tut, tut. Then the Sphinx told one, and everybody said, that Sphinx. Polonius was the first Roman comedian and perhaps the last. He tried out all his new material at the Colosseum in front of a lion. He said, who was that lady lion I saw you with last night? Unfortunately, we never got the answer. One gulp, and he was gone. But somewhere today, inside a lion's tummy, is a very funny man. Comedy, like the proverbial egg, all boils down to one thing: words. Now, when I was your age, my teacher told me, use a word 3 times and it's yours. She lied. I said pony 3 times and I never got one. Now, I can only say to you, struggling students, struggling here today, soak up all of the verbiage that you possibly can, and way off in the future, someday, you may be a comedian, or even funnier than that, a principal. Wah-wee! Thank you.
Boys and girls, the Hudson Brothers doing comedy and music.
Make 'em laugh, make 'em laugh. Everyone knows the world wants to laugh. Ha ha! My father said, be an actor, my son, but be a comical one. They'll be standing in line. Oh, that old hunky shine. Well, you can study Shakespeare and be quite elite. And you can charm the critics and have nothing to eat. Slip on the banana peel. How do I get around? You can go around. Make 'em laugh, make 'em laugh, make 'em laugh. Next, I want to look at my plot. I'll come over. 1, 2, 3, 4. My regards to Barack. Well, remember me to Harold Square. Tell all the gang at 42nd Street that I will soon be there. I give the world to be among the folks in, I don't know how to spell Dixie and where the wind comes sweeping down the plains and the raging wheat that sure smells sweet. Why do I sing like Frankie Lane? Life is sad, believe me, missy, when you're born to be a sissy without the fear. But I could show my prowess, be a lion, never know as if I only had to do. Oh, would be in my stride, a king down to the core. I would roar the way I've never roared before. And when what are you looking at, you little girl? You ain't never seen a scared lion before? I'll roar some. What's that noise? With grace, and you're giggling all over the place, and then you get a great powder puff in the face. Make 'em laugh, make 'em laugh.
of you boys and girls have ever heard of vaudeville? Good. Well, years ago, before TV and before radio and movies, comedians performed sketches, jokes, and blackouts in theaters like this one all over the country. And what they did was called vaudeville. You see, it was a hard life. You were constantly traveling, you had no real home life, and there were times when things went wrong and you didn't get paid. And there was another danger. Lurking in any audience could be what we call a heckler. Now, a heckler is a very rude person who...
Hey, you're gonna do a show, you're gonna talk all day.
I believe we have a heckler now. Sir, we are doing a comedy here.
Really? When are you gonna start?
Well, like I said, hecklers are very rude people, and what they do is insult the comedians. Now, not only will they insult his performance, they will also insult his physical appearance.
Is that your nose, or are you eating a banana?
Some hecklers will even insult your clothes.
Who's your tailor, the Salvation Army?
And some hecklers are so rude, they'll even insult your physical appearance, your performance, and your clothes all at the same time.
Hey, Shorty, that dumb suit you're wearing, is that funnier than your act is, you know?
Well, kids, this time he has gone too far because nobody calls Tom Bosley Shorty and gets away with it. And there's one sure way to handle a heckler. It never fails to stop them. Listen, if you're so smart, why don't you come on down here and try and be funny, huh?
Oh, yeah, I'm on my way. Come on, kids, I'm gonna get right down there. I'm gonna get right
down. Of course, sometimes this technique can backfire, and I have a...
Come on, let me hear this.
Well, here I go.
In the back, in the front. Now, vaudeville with props. You need props for vaudeville. Here's some props. So first of all, use your imagination. Here now, can you see this, gang? It's a flying saucer. Yay, kids! How about this? Palm Springs. Can't they see on this side? Now, here we go. Wait a second, I needed this. Here we go now. Is this going well? Here we go. Guess what this is? An eggplant. Yay! Holy mackerel. I love that one. Backgammon, backgammon, frontgammon. Yay, kids! Here's the last show. Big finish now. I've got a big hand now because we all have I have a very slight handicap. Let me hear, please. Come on, let me hear applauses and games. That's it. That's it.
I knew who he was all the time. You see, we introduced him that way to bring him onto the stage. Now, that's called a device. And when it comes to devices, vaudeville had them all. For example, a simple walk, huh? Now, that's kind of flat. Now, let's add some drums, and now you've got a vaudeville walk. Now, the more basic and broader it was, the funnier it became. And another device was called mistaken identity. You see, in vaudeville, there were many sketches and blackouts based on the fact that someone didn't recognize someone else.
There you are, you miserable little worm!
Mistaken identity. You're about to see an example of it right now. What the hey?
You got your nerve standing here making a fool out of yourself? Why, you should be at home mowing the lawn.
Hey, lady, who are you?
Oh, how dare you? Is that any way to talk to your own wife?
Madam, please, I'm not your husband. I'm Tom Bosley, and I'm doing a show here for these young people.
Oh, Oh, sure, you can entertain strangers' kids, but your own little boy doesn't even know how to play baseball yet. You kid!
Will you stop that? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even have a son.
Oh, no? Suppose you'd like to say that to his face. Wendell, come out here and speak to your father. Get up here, boy. It's a good boy. Now I ask you, is this a dead ringer for him or isn't he?
Madam, please.
Look, he's got your eyes and your nose and your mouth.
Good, then give him my hat and get him out of here.
How could you? Wendell, don't listen. Your father's a very sick man.
Madam, I am not sick, not yet. I am also not your husband, and I am not Wendell's father. And furthermore, I think I should tell you that Wendell here looks suspiciously like a monkey.
You've made Wendell depressed. Now you're going to have to sing him a lullaby.
I don't know any lullabies.
Well, then I'm not leaving.
I just remembered a lullaby. All right. Oh. Rock-a-bye, Wendell, in the treetops. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall. And down will come Wendell, cradle and all. Huh? Gee, I think he likes me.
Huh. Isn't that just like you? I do all the work and now you try to steal his love away.
What?
Well, Wendell and I have seen enough. We're leaving.
Good.
And as for you, we are finished. Kaput. I'm suing for divorce.
Good.
Goodbye.
Well, it's going very nicely so far. You see, we've touched on most of the major areas of vaudeville, except, of course, the one biggie, the immortal pie in the face. Now, that's what we call a classic. You see, vaudeville may be gone, but someone getting a pie in the face is still as funny as it ever was. Now, we wanted to hit somebody with a pie, but frankly, we just couldn't get anyone to volunteer. Can you believe it? I mean, I personally asked everyone on the show, everyone, but they all turned me down.
Length, 6.5 inches.
Now, when I tell you I begged them, I mean I begged.
Width, 5.25 inches.
5.25, yeah. I mean, think of the tradition. Chaplin, Keaton, Laurel, and Hardy.
You like banana cream?
Sure.
He likes banana cream.
The Keystone Cops, the Three Stooges, Soupy Sales.
How about lemon meringue?
Oh, I love it.
He loves lemon meringue.
Loves lemon meringue, right. Hold it. Wait a minute, Soupy Pies. What is going on?
Don't worry about a thing. There's nothing to it.
Nothing to what?
You're not allergic to custard, are you?
Oh, hold it. If you think you can just waltz out here and hit me with a pie, you got another thing.
Wait a minute. I'm not just going to waltz out here and hit you with a pie. I wouldn't do that. I'm not in the yellow pages on the dummy. No, not old Sue. No way.
You wouldn't?
No.
You promise?
Absolutely.
Then I'm not going to get a pie in my face?
Well, no, I didn't say that.
Bye.
Now, wait a minute. Wait, what do you say, gang? Wouldn't you like to see Tom Bosley get See, they want a pie.
Fine, you take it.
Wait, now, it's very easy, Tom. All you have to do is say, that's my pie, I want it, let me have it.
I'll never remember all of it.
Oh, come on. You wouldn't remember? All you say is, that's my pie, I want it, let me have it.
Can I at least close my eyes?
Fair enough, close your eyes, but only at the last moment because timing is everything, all right?
Okay. No. Now, don't panic. I'm going to do it. I really am. Okay. It's just that I'm a little nervous, and I want to make sure I get this thing right. Now, what I need for you to do is to run the whole thing over for me just one more time, including the part about closing the eyes, huh?
Okay. Fair enough.
Good. So I can get the timing exactly right, all right?
Okay.
All right. Now, just tell me one more time, what is it I'm supposed to say?
That's my pie. I want it. Give it to me.
Gee, that wasn't so hard after all, was it? Have you all had a good time? Well, when it comes right down to it, I guess if something makes you laugh, it's comedy. And if it doesn't, it's not. And the only rule is, there are no rules. But as I look out at you young people here in the theater, I know for sure that you've learned how to make people laugh because I can see it all over your faces. So give yourselves a hand, huh? Goodbye, and thank you.